The NFL show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, and as always, the Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Check them out at betting.net. I am your co-host for the NFL Pick'em Show, Mike Goodpaster. We have, of course, as always, our two esteemed guest hosts. We'll start off with 19... What?
When did I become a guest host?
I meant co-host. Quit being
When did
a
I become a
bitch,
co-host?
Risley, you're lucky you're even on the freaking show.
You're a co-host too, you bonehead.
I called myself the co-host, did I not, Dan? And who the hell calls somebody a bonehead?
I do.
That's stupid. All right,
yeah.
Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm having a wonderful time. Great. My
That's
beloved Rams won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, your beloved Rams. But you know what? Right now we're going to welcome in Dan Kornhauser to tell us how the NFL Pick'em Show for the year turned out and who the world champion is.
Well deserved. Very well deserved.
Will you be quiet and let Dan talk?
Well, last week we had the LA Rams -4.5. Mike and I both picked Cincinnati. And Steve went with that Rams line, -4.5. Steve, unfortunately, was wrong. Mike and I were both correct. For me, it means absolutely nothing. But for Mike, it means he took the season lead over Steve.
Which means I won for the 7th straight year. I'm just like Tom Brady, only I do mine consecutively. But
now, for what it's worth, Steve and I both said the Rams would win. Mike said the Bengals would win.
Unfortunately, it's a point spread show.
And I'm gonna quote a dear friend of mine, a Mike Goodpaster, who said, "I will gladly trade the pool for my Bengals to win the Super Bowl."
Yeah, but it didn't. And I won.
It's totally irrelevant.
Hey, and remember this: before the championship game, when he was up 2 games, he celebrated like he was going to win. Do you remember that, Dan? I think that
just like the Colts did. I am the Carson Wentz. I am the Carson Wentz of the pool. I 2 games to go, just had to beat either Jacksonville or Oakland. I couldn't do either, and I'm not in the playoffs. So, Mike, congratulations.
The fact that you think the Raiders are still in Oakland says something too.
You were as much as 3 games down at that points in time.
Actually, I was 7 or 8 games down week 5.
Not to me. I was never 7 or 8 games up.
Was he not, Dan? Remember that when we didn't know?
You were up a good amount. I want to say you were up at least 5 or 6.
Now it's 5 or 6. He outside.
He said at least.
It's just like his boy. It's just like his boy from Milan, Indiana, Bobby Plump. You know, that damn jump shot that he hit in 1954 was about a 22, 23-foot jump shot. Now the shot's at about 40 feet, and before he dies, it'll be at about 50, 55 feet.
But you know what?
Herb Schromeyer, Mike, do you know who Herb Schromeyer is?
Yes, I do.
He will be calling it a half-court shot.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Steve, because either way, or no matter what you call it, it was the game-winning walk-off championship shot, which I just fired yesterday.
Right.
So maybe you could do it next year.
And it was just like that pass from Stafford to Cooper Kupp. It was the game-winning touchdown throw, walk-off.
And I won. Hey, why do you use language like that?
I said walk-off.
Oh, okay. Joe, hey, Mike, could you do the whole show tonight, then give it to Steve on a terrible call in the last 2 minutes? All right, so Joseph, of course, is a Bengals fan. I would say that's for Bengal fans. The Bengals lost the game. The officials didn't help, but the officials did not decide the game.
And I did it on my own.
And I think the issue here with me is the fact that nothing was called until the last 2 minutes, Dan, and they missed stuff. What, Steve? Go ahead. What do you got to say?
No. Don't do sour grapes and start blaming the referees and talking about
Dan, what did I just say?
And things like that. It was a well-played football game.
I mean, you're like a fucking idiot sometimes. You just sit there and talk. You don't have a fucking clue most of the time, Steve. Did you watch the game or did you doze off again at the nursing home?
I watched the game.
Oh, no.
I even watched the halftime entertainment, and it was actually better than I thought.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the things I want to bring up are this.
Don't go there, Mike. Don't ruin a great season for your Bengals. Don't blame it on the referees.
How am I blaming it
on the
referees?
Don't go there.
Let's hear it, Mike.
Mike, don't go there, please.
No, I want to hear it. What you got to say?
You trashed the Bengals by doing that. Those kids played their hearts out all season long.
God, this
you have the best young quarterback in the game, and you're going to trash it and say the referees rigged the game.
I did not.
Like
what did I say? Dan, did I?
We didn't get there yet.
Dan, and I'm never.
We haven't gotten there yet, Dan. Exactly right. We'll get there.
Let's hear
it.
You're
not going to get there.
Let's hear it.
You're not.
Let's hear it, Mike.
On this play, is Aaron Donald lined up off sides?
Yo, yeah, that's the one we were talking about.
No, this is the first series.
The other one.
This is the first series on 4th and 1 where Donald lines up over the ball again.
So the first series, that's the first.
Ugly.
Oh, we only got 58 minutes and 22 seconds left to play. We can't recover from that.
We are talking about officiating right now. We're not talking about
Mike. And you know, bad calls and missed calls are as much a part of any sporting event as there is.
Wait a second.
And
this is not a bad or missed call. This is not a bad or missed call. You have two.
Well, it is a missed call because nobody called it. Nobody called it offsides.
So why do you think it wasn't called?
Yo, they were letting him play, man.
They were letting him play.
Exactly. Now, wait a second. Because then, this changes. All right? We're going to stop sharing, and we are going to go back to the last drive on 4th and 1. And the very same thing happens again. And I'm sorry, Steve, but this is incompetence. Incompetence should be talked about no matter what team it affects. Same thing. 4th and 1, Aaron Donald's lined up over the ball.
Right?
That's not the same one.
No doubt it should be called.
But no, you said it shouldn't. You said it hurts the Bengals to bring it up.
I think it does because the Bengals should have,
Jesus. I mean, it's stupidity. Because on 4th and 1, when you only got one play left and an official screws a call up, that affects the game. You can't recover from that. I can tell you this: any penalty.
What the hell are the Bengals doing running at Donald anyway? He's only dominated the damn game from the defensive line.
They didn't run it, Donald.
Well, then how the hell does somebody not block him and take him out of the play?
Jesus, because he's lined up off sides. And if
he's halfway up the field the wrong way. Go right. He's sitting on left.
Is there any way you could shut the fuck up and let anybody else talk?
No.
I mean, you obviously came on this show with something stuck up your ass and wanted to run your fucking mouth. So if you would listen so we could explain this.
Cut me off. Cut me off. I'm done.
Oh, you're done.
I'm not going to put up with that shit from you.
Put up with what shit from you? You came on here to do this shit, Steve.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you
I don't
did.
want you to cry. I don't want you to cry rigged games, fixed games.
Jesus. When have I cried rigged game, fixed game tonight?
You're talking about refereeing.
I'm not going to talk about it. I don't think it's rigged.
All right, I'm done. I'll sit here and keep my face on TV.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Talk.
Well, that's what you're best at.
All right.
That's fucking sickening, dude. If you can't sit here and have an actual debate about something that happened in a game that affected the outcome.
You're the one who's calling me a fucking idiot and shitting names like that.
Yeah, because I'm trying to talk and you run your mouth constantly and tell me that I'm going to talk about a rigged game, Steve. That's bullshit.
Right. Go ahead.
You're trying to control the narrative. I'm
done.
just telling you this. I know you're done. You're always done when shit doesn't go your way.
I'm letting you talk, Mike.
I know. Like a fucking baby, you're going to sit there and you're going to
making a fool of yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm making a fool out of myself. So, Dan, I have an issue with that call. The main call that I have issues with are the guys lined up off sides. The other call I have an issue with is T. Higgins knocking down Jalen Ramsey, which should not have been a touchdown. I'm not talking about a rigged game at any point. I am talking about officiating that is so piss poor that it affects a game both ways and you don't get a fair outcome. And I'm not saying that a fair outcome is the Bengals winning, because when I watched that game, I thought the Rams were the better team. That's simple. I thought their defensive line dominated the Bengals' offensive line when the Bengals tried to throw the ball. The T. Higgins, Jalen Ramsey thing was egregious. The lined up all sides twice is egregious. I thought the Logan Wilson call on the goal line was bad, but what I thought was worse was, and that's a judgment call. I'm good with that. My problem was the entire Rams offensive line false started before it, and that was missed. So this is talking about not a rigged game. We're talking about incompetence from referees against both teams, because we don't know the points that could have been scored on any of those plays. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, if you call that offensive pass interference, you don't have an explosive play to start the half, and it's still 13-10 Rams.
I think it's very telling that throughout this game, look at the second half. Just look at the second half alone. They called 2 penalties the entire second half. And those 2 penalties both came in the last 2 minutes, and they both favored the Rams. I don't think that there's anything going on there, anything crazy, but Mike is right that the officiating was very inconsistent. It's for like most of it, it felt like they were just letting them play. They don't want to be too touchy and ticky-tack with the penalties. The refs clearly didn't want to deal with the whole, the refs deciding the big game narrative that we've heard all too often. So they were letting them play for better or for worse. And I mean, this isn't unlike any other game we've seen all season where the refs missed a bunch of obvious calls. I wouldn't say anything as egregious as what happened in the Saints-Rams game a couple of years ago. Something that everyone could have seen, even a person who never understood what football was could call that penalty, and the ref somehow did it. There was nothing egregious like that, but it was an inconsistent game.
I think
there are some obvious examples.
I think the lined up offsides is obvious, and I think the T. Higgins pushing Jalen Ram were both egregious.
Yeah, those are obvious ones, and it's weird. Like, why, if you're gonna call that Wilson pass interference, that was good defense, man. That was a little. The whole room was like, I don't know how I feel about that. A little touchy. The Eli Apple, definitely a penalty.
Yeah.
The T. Higgins one where T. Higgins threw Ramsey down, definitely a penalty that they didn't call. But that Wilson call was ugly, man. They should have, if anything, hold a flag on something like that if it's that.
Yeah, but the bad thing is the false start should have already been flagged. It would have made it 3rd and goal from the 13.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
that's the other thing.
So I think the question is here, not if it's rigged, because I don't think it's rigged, because it would be, shall we say, useless to watch if we thought it was. But I also think this. I think this happens so much, the officiating so bad, that almost every fan base in the NFL believes it is a little bit. It's just like the end of the Detroit-Baltimore game. You can't tell me as a Lions fan that thought never came into your mind.
Oh my God, are you kidding me, dude? Half the Lions games that I watch, I got to deal with some sort of officiating nonsense. And I can go over the last decade of all the crazy penalties that weren't penalties or calls that they never called. But I mean, I can go on and on as a Lions fan.
Yeah,
I
the
see
Cowboys
it
playoff
every
game.
week.
The Cowboys playoff game. And then the Packers the next week against the Cowboys. And this happens so much that it affects the integrity of the game. Because when I watched Kansas City and San Francisco fans' Facebook message boards and stuff 2 weeks ago, everybody talked about, this game was fixed, it was rigged, we lost it. Or we didn't lose it, it was taken from us, we never had a chance. If you look at Bengal message boards now, everybody's saying the same thing. And I mean, it's bad officiating. From 1977, Rob Lytle doesn't get in the end zone, they give him the touchdown. The Broncos go to the Super Bowl instead of the Raiders. Renfro's catch in the back of the end zone against the Steelers, which was called incomplete, which was definitely a touchdown. So this happens every year. It happens almost every game now. And, I mean, something has to be done about the officiating. I still think younger guys that can keep up and have better eyesight would help. But it's an issue. When we look at the game, what was your biggest takeaway from the game? Mine was Cooper Kupp.
For me, it was the matchup that everyone was talking about ended up being what decided the game. It wasn't the quarterbacks. It wasn't the coaching. It wasn't the turnovers. It wasn't the big plays. It was the Rams defensive line versus the Bengals offensive line. That's what it came down to. And for better or for worse, they dug their grave with that offensive line. And now they know what they need to do. And Mike, actually, you said a couple of weeks ago, one of the most important, if not the most important thing, other than having a good quarterback, is building the lines, the defensive line, the offensive line, being strong up front. You said it a few weeks ago. And when you look at Super Bowl champions, not Super Bowl teams, Super Bowl champions over the last, 10, 15 years, you'll see one common trait that every single one of them has, or two traits that every single one of them has, is a solid offensive line, normally an elite tackle, one or the other, and a good pass rush with an elite edge rusher or a pressure guy. In this case, it was Donald. But That's a thing, man. And Cincinnati saw it firsthand. So now I hope they go out and build it and give
Well, the
Burrow.
bad thing is this. I thought the offensive line actually played pretty well for the first three quarters. They
Yeah,
dominated on
yeah.
the ground, and I don't know why. I mean, I think coaching had an issue with it. Samaje Perine should not be carrying the ball on 3rd and 1, and he shouldn't be on the field because he made no attempt to catch the last pass, which fell like 2 feet from him. I mean, he didn't
I don't
even
know.
dive to catch the ball.
I don't know what the love fest with Samaje Perine is when you have Joe Mixon. I don't understand.
Well,
it.
and you got Chris Evans should be the backup,
And even
not
Chris
Perine.
Evans. I know how much you like Chris Evans. You've been talking about him since October. So I know that they have other options, and Mixon is one of the best running backs in the league. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. It's not like DeAndre Swift, you know what I'm saying, who's a solid running back, athletic, whatever, good pass catcher, but you're not going to give him 80% of the carries or 80% of the touches. You're going to give Mixon 80 to 90% of those touches. I don't know why this coaching staff loves Perine. I just
All
don't
right, Steve, should Cooper Kupp have been the MVP?
Yeah, no doubt.
Because Aaron Donald played his ass off, and so did Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
also.
no, I thought Aaron Donald deserved it as much as Cooper Kupp, but they're going to lean toward the offensive players in that case. The thing that amazed me about Cooper Kupp was how the Rams refused to use him up until the last drive, basically. And then when they did, they marched right down and score on a touchdown call, a touchdown pass. So I don't know. I don't know what their game plan was, what they were thinking, but it worked for them. And but I could have easily given the MVP to Aaron Donald as well.
I think you could easily give it to Stafford also. I mean, I think especially with limited weapons.
Yeah. It was a good team effort, offensively and defensively. We talked before the game that it was going to be the team that made the fewest mistakes in the game was the team that was going to win. And I don't know that Cincinnati made any more mistakes. I just think
actually without.
Okay, I'm done.
Jesus, go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was talking,
From now
but
on,
that's okay. Go ahead. No, I'm
go
done.
ahead. Jesus.
No, I'm done.
I don't know. Are we just not going to do this show anymore?
No, let's go.
I mean, this shit is stupid. I mean, just go ahead and
Well,
talk then. I interjected something. It's the same thing I did when Dan was talking.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't even know what the hell I was interjecting now. Go ahead.
No, I was finished.
All right, Dan.
All right. Kupp got it. I don't mind it. He scored a couple of touchdowns. That's what everyone loves. Everyone loves offense. But Donald was a force, particularly in the second half. And superstars show up in big situations. And Aaron Donald showed up. That defense showed up. Von Miller played well. Von Miller was a terror off the edge all night. And he should have gotten some love too. But it would have been nice for Donald to get it. Just because how many times does a defensive player win Super Bowl MVP? It doesn't happen that often. I think the last time was that Bucks linebacker, was it, right?
Derek Brooks?
Dexter Jackson or something like that?
Dexter Jackson was a DB. He had the picks against the Raiders.
Yeah, maybe that's the last. Was that the last defensive player to win Super Bowl MVP? I feel like it might have been.
I don't remember one. Do you, Steve?
I'm trying to think. Maybe I could look it up real quick, but
look it up real quick.
I'm going to go with that for now. Regardless, we don't see defensive players win it, and
I know Larry Brown won it in Super Bowl 30, Dallas and Pittsburgh.
Yes,
but that would have been before the Dexter Jackson, because Dexter Jackson would have been Super Bowl 37.
Let's see here. I'm pulling this up now.
Yeah, Von Miller, Super Bowl 50.
Yeah,
Joe just nailed it. Nice job, Joe. We'll have to have Joe as our researcher.
That's the one. So yeah, it was him, and then before him it was
or it could be your third.
Oh, guy. Malcolm Smith. Malcolm Smith for Seattle. He had a pick 6 and 10 tackles in a fumble recovery.
He had a pick 6. Okay, the Denver game?
Yeah. So regardless, it doesn't happen often. It would have been cool.
All right. I think Cooper Kupp was a good pick. I mean, hell, the game was on the line. He touched the ball 8 times in their last drive. So I don't think the game was well coached by McVay or by Taylor, actually. And McVay, it really freaked me out the way he was shaking at the start of the game. Did you see that?
Nah,
he had his play sheet, and they showed him he was shaking like a crackhead that hadn't had a fix in a week.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a
So
big
which
stage,
which
though.
makes me, as me and Steve were talking about today, it wouldn't surprise me if he does retire after this. There's easier ways to make money.
Yeah. Be a broadcaster, make 10, 12 mil a year.
For
Yeah.
Double
McVay,
your coaching salary.
Yeah.
have you seen his girlfriend?
No.
He ain't retiring
He's
Why is
right.
that? Is she ugly?
because she's expensive.
What do you mean? She's a prostitute?
No,
Or
I'm just
She's a
saying
pretty girl.
she's
Very nice.
Beverly Hills expensive,
Beverly
God.
Hills.
Rodeo Drive expensive. Trust me.
Rodeo Drive. Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, final product he uses in his hair, he probably is also. All right,
Yeah.
Steve. I see your point.
My point is this, Mike. My point is this, and let me just get this off my chest, and then we'll be fine. I'm fine anyway because I'm having fun with you for the most part.
So was I. So don't worry about it.
I watched the in Michigan State Indiana basketball game Saturday, I think it was, and they literally beat the shit out of each other. Played. It was a very unofficiated.
Which is how the game should be played.
Yeah, it was an unofficiated game. So when things were coming up in the game between the Bengals and the Rams, and while I didn't pay attention too much to Donald being offsides, it's obvious he was. It wasn't called. I'm better off the game being refereed loosely than I am tightly, because if we were sitting here and they were calling every nitpicky thing, we would be saying the referees controlled this game. So there's no perfect way to referee a football game in any way, shape, or form. And these guys will be evaluated. They were evaluated to get to this game.
And
they'll be evaluated in this game, and some of them may never, if it's that bad or that obvious, they may never referee an NFL Super Bowl again.
They ain't gonna do that.
And well, you don't know.
Real quick, we got a Sefton comment, which we'll get that in. You continue. I am here still vexed. I thought it said vexed when I first saw it. I am here still vexed because of how the referee decided they wanted to become the stars of the game. They robbed the Bengals. And I don't think they robbed the Bengals.
I don't think they were the stars of the game either. They were criminals of the game if they were anything, but they weren't the stars.
But I think this, Steve, the question becomes the integrity of the game, because it seems like we have this discussion about at least one game every week, every year we do this show.
But I'm just telling you, as a guy who played at the highest level of the three of us in sports, I know, Mike, you coached at a higher level. You coached professional. I'm just telling you, bad calls are just there. And in my career as a basketball player, I'll bet you I didn't get 4 or 5 technicals in a total career. I got none at IU. I wouldn't dare get a technical at IU. All right. But in high school, even, I just got none. I just realized, coaches just told me, look, they're never going to change your call. When have you ever seen a referee change his call? Because you bitched at him.
I have seen that.
Well,
I saw it with Coach Knight, dude. I saw Coach Knight wear them dudes down, so he got the call.
I saw him give makeup calls. I saw a lot of times we would get a makeup call. It wouldn't change the call that was called, but you'd get the next break guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't, whether it was or not, I don't want the opening conversation of this show to be about the bad refereeing in the game. I want to talk about the way these teams played, how they played to get there. Joe Burrow elevated himself in this game, stood tall, took on an incredible defensive front, took 7 more sacks, and really was maybe one questionable call away from tying his team up. Or even if the guy at the last fling pass he made while Donald was tackling him, that ball hit that receiver. I mean, his hand smacked it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he catches that, that's a first down, and the Bengals are marching into field goal range, and we've got overtime at worst. Like you said, hell, they're only 40 yards out. Maybe it's a touchdown. I mean, that's what Burrow.
Well, actually, the scary thing is when you watch the All 22 film, Steve.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey got faked out by Jamar Chase and actually fell on his face.
I know.
Was running down the sideline by himself.
We talked about this earlier. Jamar Chase made Jalen Ramsey look ancient and stupid and tired and old.
Remember,
he couldn't cover him. He just couldn't cover him.
He couldn't cover him.
He just could not cover him. And I'm amazed they left them one-on-one as much as they did.
All right, real quick, Sefton. They allowed them to play into the last 2 minutes, Mike. The last two calls were disgraceful. All right, I agree with that. But I also will tell you this. T. Higgins had an offensive person or had an offensive pass interference that was not called that led to 7 points for the Bengals. So this, to me, the story of this game is both teams played really well and the officials interfered. They interfered because of those last 2 minutes. I've got no issue with the game being called loosely, but the game has to be consistently called. Steve, you know yourself when you play basketball, if they wanted to call it close and ticky-tack, that's fine because you understand that's the way they're doing it.
Right.
But if all of a sudden in the last 2 minutes, Bill Laimbeer elbows you in the head, and they don't call it, it's a little different.
And again, I'm now sound like I'm changing my tune, and I'm not. I'm just saying I agree with you. I just didn't want that to be the opening conversation in our dialogue about the game because there are so many good things that happened.
But I can tell you this, Steve.
Things. But anyway, My point was there even a holding call in this game?
No. Well, there was on the offsetting penalty.
Okay.
The one in the end zone.
On every play, every offensive play in the NFL, somebody grabs somebody's jersey and holds it, or slaps somebody to the ground, or something along those lines. They could literally call holding on every play. Now, I say they don't do it because that would just disrupt the flow of the game. But to say there's only one, and that's an offsetting penalty, whoa, that is letting the game go loose. So,
but you got to keep it that way if you're going to do that. Just call offsides, personal fouls.
Can't dial it in, yeah. No.
Now that you mention it, Steve, I'm looking at it, and I'm all the way back into the first quarter now because I went fourth to first, and it doesn't look like there were any holding calls this game.
Well, like Mike said, I think there
was offsetting. Yeah,
it was offsetting,
but yeah.
And this is the other thing on that play. You remember Cooper Kupp getting hit in the head, and they flagged the Bengal for the personal foul. That was the offsetting.
That was just a hard hit, I thought.
But the issue is this: he hit him in the head, and it says they flagged it. Cooper Kupp should have been under concussion protocol, but they never took him off to check him.
No, you're right. Did he even get out of the game?
No, he continued to play.
Well, he should have gotten off the field for at least one play.
Yeah.
No, they didn't stop the clock.
Yeah, they did because it was a penalty.
Oh, that's right. They did.
Big Wood had illegal hands to the face on the first play of the game. Get over it, Joe. I'm more upset with the lined up offsides because I know this. There's very few guys that can block Aaron Donald. There's nobody that can block him if he gets an extra half a foot, Dan.
Adeniji, their right guard looked.
Adeniji, the right guard and right tackle are bad.
Just looked overmatched, man. Especially on that last drive, just looked overmatched.
It's the same way it looks against Tennessee.
When Donald wanted to take over, Donald took over. That wasn't any more evident other than if you want to think about no other game, no other play this whole game that anyone made on defense, you can just look at the Aaron Donald tackle on Pirine where he broke Adeniji's block, shed him, and then grabbed the running back with one arm and just literally pulled him back and dragged him down to stop the play. He did that in college a bunch of times where he just broke through the block, got through a double team or something like that, and ate up the running back or the quarterback in the backfield. So this ain't nothing new for Donald, but...
And Joe said he's over it. You're really not, Joe. I know that to lie because I've already lived through 2 games exactly like this in Super Bowls before.
Actually, that reminds me. So Bob asked me a question earlier, and I wanted to ask you on the air because I know how I feel from my end of this question, but I wanted to ask you. He wanted to know what's worse, being the fan of a team who has not made a Super Bowl or being the fan of a team who's made it to multiple Super Bowls but hasn't won.
Being a fan of a team that's never made it to a Super Bowl.
That's what I said. I was like, yeah.
Because I can tell you this, Steve knows it because he was a Colts fan. They're still a Colts fan. They went to 2 Super Bowls. Even when you lose the Super Bowl, you're still sitting there Super Bowl Sunday, whether it's by yourself or your wife or your partner, and your team is in that. And I mean, there's nothing like if you are a diehard fan of a team, Steve, when you watch the Colts come out of that tunnel for the Super Bowl the first time, it gives you goosebumps.
It sure does. And when they lost to New Orleans, all I thought about was I'm excited about next season. I mean, we can get back.
You know why?
You
Because
know,
you
we
won the
can get
first
back.
time you got there. When you lose each time you get there, then you just dwell on the bad shit. That's why I was wanting just this one, because then I wouldn't have cared if they ever won it again. I'd have been good with one. I just want to know what that's like.
But
And
I think that looking at these two teams, it's on paper because that's all you can really do is speculate on paper. You can't because we talked about Dan Marino getting his second Dolphins team Super Bowl, never getting back. By and far, Cincinnati will return to the Super Bowl on paper before the Rams do.
And I hope to God this thing, because actually the Lions have always been my second favorite team. I think it was just because they were the one team that was worse than my team most of the time. But I really hope someday in the next 5 or 10 years that the three of us are doing this show and the Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl.
Listen, I've already told everyone in my life that if the Lions ever made the Super Bowl, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care if I have to sell, my car or sell personal belongings to get a ticket. I'm going because I will never have that opportunity again. And I don't care how expensive it is. I want to say,
dude, 5 to 10 years from now, it may cost you $185,000 for the ticket.
Worth it. I'll sell sell whatever old guy things I have at that point.
All right, I've been to 2 Super Bowls. My team lost both of them. It was not worth it. Especially the one in Detroit, because it was freezing ass cold there. Luckily, they played in that dome. But
yeah, right.
What the hell? I mean, I don't think anybody could complain that the Rams had home field advantage, because I don't think they had the majority of the fans there.
They said they didn't. They said the local newscaster said there was more black and orange there than there was.
I believe it.
The guys I know that went said it was probably 60-40 or 65-35.
Yeah, no, there was. They said there was more black and orange in the stadium.
So do you think, Steve, the Rams are Rams or Chargers are the only two fan bases that could play a home Super Bowl and have more people show up for the other team?
Yeah, I don't think that would happen anywhere else.
No.
In
Cincinnati,
NFL.
if you're driving from Cincinnati, it takes 24 hours to drive.
Well, the only other place it'd be possible for that happening would be New York. That'd be the only other place. You get such diverse cities like that.
Jets and Giants have diehard fans, though.
Yeah, fans show up.
It's LA, but there's just so much. I mean, it was an 85-degree day here. The beaches were open. Traffic. I mean, getting to that damn stadium. It's unbelievable how hard it is to get.
From what I hear, it's even harder to get out of it.
Yeah, and it's the same with Chavez Ravine at Dodger Stadium. They built like Dodger Stadium in the middle of a neighborhood.
It's the same at Giants Stadium. It's impossible to get out of.
Yeah, it's just so. It just really there's so much diversity of activities out here. People just say, screw it, I'll watch it on TV. Pools are open. Everybody's got a pool in their backyard. Pools are open. They're laying in front of their pool watching it. 85 degrees. It's just not they revel in having sports champions, and they've had their share of them. Hell, all 3 of the major sports teams have won. When's the last time the Kings won, Mike?
Well, the Kings won it just a few years ago, too.
Yeah, so you've got the Kings, the Lakers, the Dodgers, and the Rams, who all have won national championships within the last 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, it's a city of champions. It's just not well supported.
It's a city of freaks.
You got that right.
All right, Seth that says that the Bengals want to return to the Super Bowl to win it. They must spend all of their draft and financial capital on the offensive line. Sure. I don't think you need to spend it all on there.
No, but you need to invest in it.
You're going to have to get a couple free agents with experience. You have to draft a couple guys. But the guy I want to talk about, I mean, the best linebacker on the field yesterday was Logan Wilson, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Dude was all over the place. And
absolutely.
Jermaine Pratt's all right. I think the Bengals do need to upgrade linebacker, and I think they need an upgrade at corner because Eli Apple made some plays this year. But overall, and I don't understand why Eli Apple is the guy covering freaking Cooper Kupp at the end of the game. When you got Chidobe, you got a Woozy who's been one of the top 3 or 4 corners all year, and they don't put him on him. And I also don't I would have put 3 guys on him at the end of the game down by the goal line.
Yo, they blanketed him all game. They did a good job against Kupp the whole game.
until they decided to play soft at the start of the last drive. They basically went cover 2, which they did yesterday, but they played a soft cover 2, kind of what Buffalo did against Kansas City. And that's what started the issues. But in the end, I don't think Bengal fans can whine about the officiating, because there's 4 or 5 drives where the Bengals were up a score, where if they put any points on the board, they probably win the game, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, when you have those opportunities, especially in a game like this, you gotta come through, man.
Like,
I don't know what.
When you're finished, I'm sorry, Dan. When you're done, I'll talk.
I don't know what was going on with the Bengals yesterday, but even though they had big plays to Chase and big plays to Higgins, this didn't feel like the same offense that we had seen in the last 2.5 months of the season.
I think it was over the playoffs, though. The offense was not – they were explosive, but they didn't score a lot of points. I mean, you remember they beat the Raiders 26-19. They beat the Titans 19-16, 27-24 over the Chiefs. This is a team that Joe Burrow gets all the credit, and so does Chase. This team was in the Super Bowl because of the defense.
Oh, yeah, the defense played over their head.
I mean, how many teams are holding? They didn't play over their head. They played the way they did all year. People just ignored them because everybody wants to look at the flashy stuff. I mean, if you look at the defense all year, they were in the top half of the league, and they stepped it up when you got to the playoffs. Yeah, and that was without Larry Ogunjobi, who's the best defensive tackle in the Bengals.
That's right. That's right. And they built it through the free agency, too. It's good stuff.
So here's what I want to know before we wrap it up, because I want to make a lot of money someday. Dan wants to make a lot of money. Steve does. Wouldn't you like to just go throw $100 down on Vegas, bet a team to win the Super Bowl, and they hit? Who is a team nobody thinks of right now? We'll start off with Dan, and then we'll go to Steve. Who is a team that people are overlooking for next year that you think could shock a lot of people?
Wow, that's a big question.
But there's always one of those teams every year, whether they just make the playoffs or they go to the Super Bowl. Just a team that nobody thinks of right now that you think with just a couple right moves could be a contender.
New Orleans.
Really?
I think New Orleans, even though they're losing Peyton, and we know how good of a coach Peyton is.
Yeah, but the coach they replaced him was an idiot.
Yeah, I don't like Dennis Allen either, but that team is talented. You know, let's not forget this defense is elite. They have elite pieces at every level.
You don't know if your best players could even be back with the team now.
Well, I mean, most of the guys should be back. They're not going to get rid of.
I'm talking about Alvin Kamara.
Nah, I don't think Kamara's going anywhere. They already said they want to bring back Michael Thomas.
Kamara got arrested, right?
Alvin Kamara did have an event where he got arrested, yes. So we'll see. But assuming he comes back, New Orleans has the defense. They have the weapons on offense. They have a good offensive line. They might lose Terron Armstead, but they'll be okay. They're a good drafting team. I think they'll figure that out. They get a good quarterback, something relevant, not a bunch of backups, not Jameis Winston. They could make some noise. Them or Denver. Those are my two teams.
Denver's always your team.
Sefton
says the Miami Dolphins with a good quarterback. Steve, what do you think?
Is it a team that could be in the playoffs this past year? But
well, if they're in the playoffs this year, they wouldn't really. It's a team that comes from nowhere, similar to a Cincinnati this year or Tampa Bay. Even though they were a last place team, but they got Tom Brady before they won the Super Bowl.
I don't.
Joe says
I don't think there's going to be another Cincinnati for a couple of years, because I think Cincinnati spent time building this team, and Mike, you would know that a whole lot better than me.
Well, they built it
as a kind of a humorous thing. I think that what you need to do is spend a lot of money going after Darius Leonard and Quentin Nelson from the Colts, because we're not going to be able to afford those two anymore once we buy out Carson Wentz.
I would prefer Quentin Nelson there, because I'll take Logan Wilson over Darius Leonard.
We'll have them both. Take them both. Why not just take them both?
I wouldn't mind having both, but Quentin Nelson is a bigger need right now.
Yeah. When you first asked that question, the first team that came to my mind was the Chargers.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're really a team coming out of nowhere. They just
that's what I don't know, but they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, but they just missed it by one game in overtime.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be the Jets or I don't think any team. I mean the Dolphins, as Sefton says, okay, but all these teams have got new coaches, and it takes a while to instill your offense and your defense and your system into those programs. The Dolphins have a serious quarterback issue. They just don't really know which way to go, it seems like. So I don't know. That's a hot team.
I think their quarterback issue may be settled by having Brian Flores leave. Because I think that the franchise wants Tua to be the quarterback. I don't think Flores ever wanted Tua to be the quarterback. I think that was the big issue there. So that could have been something holding Tua back, too, if your coach really didn't want you to be the quarterback.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more of these fringe teams like the Cardinals, or the Chargers, or a team that just missed, maybe make more waves. I like San Francisco a lot. I think that
they don't count, Steve. They were in the championship game.
Yeah, I know, but I still like them to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think they've got.
Can they do it with Trey Lance at quarterback?
So they're getting rid of Garoppolo?
Yeah, they're going to get rid of Garoppolo.
Actually, you know what?
He's coming to Indianapolis.
Fun segue. Steve, I'm glad you actually brought him up because that was actually going to be a question I was going to ask shortly.
Yeah, I got some questions to ask Mike and stuff too, so we're going to be on another hour.
And Sefton wants to know, is it true the Colts are thinking about cutting Carson Wentz?
I hope so.
I think it is true they're thinking about it.
So do I. But I was going to say.
I think they want to. I just don't know if they can find something better.
Joe wants to know if you bet $100 on every team when you come out on top anyways. No, Steve, or Joe, because what if the favorite won? You just bet $3,200 on a team that's, let's say, if Joe goes and bets the Bengals right now in Vegas, I think they're listed as the fourth favorite at 11-1. You would win $1,100, but you spent $3,200 or $3,200 or $32,000 to win it, or $3,200. So no, Joe, it doesn't work that way.
So I was going to say with Jimmy G, since he's on the trade block apparently, there was a rumor that came up, I don't know, yesterday or today, that Washington might consider trading a first-round pick for a quarterback, and Jimmy is one of the guys that might.
Carson Wentz is a perfect fit for Washington.
Is Jimmy going to go for a first-round pick? If you're a quarterback needy team and you think you're a quarterback away from a title, you trading a mid.
Why does everybody hate Jimmy G?
Because he's average. Because he's
average because the last two seasons when he was healthy, he went to the Super Bowl and a championship game. The year he wasn't there, they finished in last. Okay.
Mike and I will never see eye to eye on
Well, we won't because
all right, before we start that, I want to ask Mike one more question pertaining to the Bengals. Mike, would you say Sunday or yesterday that was the toughest defense that the Bengals have faced in the playoffs, at least, if not all season?
But the Titans' defense is pretty damn good, too. They're both
but
good.
What would you say it's the toughest defensive game they played?
The toughest defensive team they played, I think.
Or game.
Tennessee.
Let's just narrow it down to game. Tennessee. Was the Tennessee defensive game harder on the Bengals than the Rams?
Yeah, Tennessee was 9 sacks compared to 7. I think Tennessee's secondary, I think, is better than the Rams. I'm one guy I think Jalen Ramsey is just a dude that runs his mouth. I mean, and we saw that. And I told you before the game, if he tries to single cover any of those guys, he's getting his ass toasted because he can't cover them. I mean, he's a really good football player, but he's not what he's cracked up to be. So actually, I think the Titans have the better defense.
Okay. All right.
It's close. Well. It's close. But I mean, hell, the closest thing to Aaron Donald may be to Simon's kid out of Tennessee, Dan.
Oh, Jeffrey Simons?
Yeah.
Or Simmons, whatever his name is.
Simmons. Yeah.
That
dude can play.
He's next, man. There's a lot of these young bucks coming up. He's next. He's one of those guys that's gonna start getting league-wide, nationwide love.
Yeah, well, who are the two brothers? Again, I'm dropping their name right now.
DeBoses.
Who?
DeBoses.
Boses, yeah. They're going to be around for a few more years.
Yeah, but see, the thing about the Simmons kid and Aaron Donald, the thing that make them special is they wreck a game from defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. There's more than a handful of guys that can wreck
it. Well, it shuts up your middle, doesn't it?
Yeah, you shut down the middle, then you got issues.
Then you've got to run outside all the time. Then, your edge rushers, yeah. Even I understand that.
Edge rushers are easier to find than 6'6", 340-pound run stoppers who can get after the quarterback at the same time.
Yep.
But
No
go
doubt.
ahead, Dan. What else?
Okay, now Dan, back to yours. I wanted to clear up that get off the game right now because I thought it was a great
and
football
you like
game.
it. Joe actually wrote an article for us tomorrow that'll be on the Grilling Truth about why, as a Bengal fan, he's pissed off at officials. So there you go.
Nice.
And he does not blame the officials for losing the game.
No, that's good at least.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
But I had asked if you're a team that needs a quarterback and you think you're a quarterback away, are you trading a mid-first round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'm not. Just because his contract's up after next year. You can wait and get him to next year. I mean, there's going to be somebody probably desperate enough to. I think that, we got a Sefton comment.
I got to answer that too.
Go to betting.net. Don't do like Mattress Mac, who got some other betting site and lost close to $18 million betting on the Astros, Alabama versus Georgia, and he picked the Bengals for $6 million. Yeah, I would say that on betting.net. I just took the points in the Bengals, which Mattress Mac would have won then.
My answer is, Sefton, the guy had $18 million to lose.
Hell
so
yeah.
the hell with it.
They had
you know what? He took $18 million, lost it. I have a friend who's deep into the mattress industry. Said this guy rolls in money.
Oh, yeah, this dude was on the local Cincinnati news today, laughing his ass off, saying, no big deal.
No big deal. That makes you puke more than anything, is that the guy's got $18 million to throw away on betting. Stupid bets, whether we think they're stupid or not. So, Sefton, do not feel bad for the Mattress Mike guy. He ain't missing it. He probably already made it back today with some big sale.
Hey, hold on. Joe sounds like an idiot. I'm just kidding, Joe. I was talking about the odds of winning as a whole. I know if the favorite won, you would lose money. But what are the odds of winning money if you did that? You never know. Well, I would say this. I haven't done any research, but if we did the research, there's very few teams that go into the season as more than a 20-1 underdog to win the Super Bowl. If you know what I mean. What do you think, Dan? Put it like this: nobody above 100-1 usually does.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you this question because I'm going to sound like a total idiot here, like I probably did at the beginning of the show. That's okay. That's my role on this team.
No, you just assumed I was going to bitch and cry about officials. I'll never do
that.
I did,
and I was going to stop you before you did it, but that didn't prove to be right either. So.
I just had somebody named Orange Small send me a friend request on Facebook.
Orange Small?
Yeah. At least his name's not Richard.
If I go today and bet on the Colts, and the odds on the Colts winning the Super Bowl right now are 50-1.
Yeah.
Okay, and I say, okay, I'm putting down $10 million right now. Damn. Here's my bet. Here's $10 million at 50-1.
Yeah.
Those odds roll all season long, right?
Yeah. They never change. You get it for what you get out.
For me. If I'm willing to put the $50 million or the $10 million down right now at 50-1, then I should get those odds for the entire season.
You do.
Because I committed my money to you.
You do.
You said they roll.
No, so they roll. They stay the same. They stay the same.
So my 10-1 or 50-1 stays, even if the Colts are undefeated and going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the odds now for everybody else are 4-1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm at 50-1.
It's like the Bengals were 125 to 1.
I'm gonna start betting.
If you'd have bet the Bengals in August, they were 125 to 1. If you would have bet at the start of the playoffs, they were still like 35 to 1.
Okay, all right.
But they were 8 to 1 when they were in the championship game.
And here we're sponsored by a gambling company here.
Yeah, but see, that's the good thing. I've talked to them because they want me to find somebody who can go online with me, and on a show, I show them how to bet. I figure you're the perfect guy.
You need me.
There you go.
I'll put my $1,000 down. Let's bet it.
$1,000? Damn, Dan. Steve's rolling in money, too.
The government checks are coming in again.
That's what I'm saying.
Anything else? What else you got, Dan?
So actually, I got two more things. What
All
about
right.
Burrow?
So what about the
and what
Colts?
about
Did you finish up on the
the
Colts?
Bengals?
What are the Colts
Yeah,
going to do? You brought this rumor up.
Nobody knows what the Colts are going to do. If I was the Colts, I would just roll with Carson Wentz. I don't think they're going to turn out with much better.
What do you
There's
think? Okay,
really no
if we're done talking about
quarterbacks
Super Bowl, what do you think Carson Wentz's problem was? Did they just run the ball too much and he lost his confidence? And then when they needed him, he just had no confidence to play?
I will say the same thing. Carson Wentz is aloof. Aloof guys are not great quarterbacks.
Yeah, you said that.
I don't think he's a great leader. I think that's the biggest issue.
Okay. But still, he's got to have the ability to play in the league, whether he's a leader or not.
But you can't win championships if you don't have a leader at quarterback. I don't know of any that have.
I understand about not winning championships. I'm talking about not just physically falling apart the last 2 games of the regular season against crap-ass teams that the Colts should have run away with.
And that, to me, that's leadership, though. You need somebody to grab everybody by the throat and say, hey, we got to get this
Well, he needs
done.
to grab himself by the throat because he was puking worse than anybody.
If he grabs himself by the throat and he uses his right arm, he won't be able to.
Where's the damn head coach grabbing him by the throat and saying, you're puking worse than anybody?
You get Urban Meyer to be your coach, and Urban Meyer could walk by and kick him when he throws a bad pass.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan. What do you got? Oh, by the way, Dan, Steve interrupted you because we couldn't really tell when you were talking because your face, at least on my end, your face was frozen when you were talking. It was kind of breaking up. And it's doing it again. But go ahead.
My connection.
What other questions you got? I promised my wife I'd be done in 45 minutes, so come on.
Oh.
Can't be doing those, man. Every time you say it, we get in trouble. But no, I was going to say my 2 final things on the Bengals and Burrow and everything before things get to the offseason is, 1, I have the plan for the Bengals to rebuild their offensive line, and it's very simple. Follow the blueprint that the Kansas City Chiefs did, okay? They rebuilt their entire offensive line in 1 offseason. The Bengals have the cap space to do it. No, their offensive line was a lot better than it was last year.
Did you watch the Bengals sack him 4 times in the fourth quarter of the championship game?
No, that'll happen when this man's running around like he thinks he's Michael Vick and he's just going to elude everybody. He was ass. That was him. That wasn't the offensive line. But no, they can definitely rebuild the O-line this offseason. Sign Terran Armstead from the Saints. He's not coming back. They don't have any cap space. Sign Terran Armstead to start at left tackle. Re-sign Jonah Williams, push him on the right tackle. And draft Zion Johnson at the tail end of the first round, if he's still on the board, the guard from Boston College.
I'll tell you this. You know what I would consider doing if I was the Bengals? The Chiefs and the Bills are your main competitors, right? I would go take Orlando Brown, and I would go take the Chiefs center, who's also up. I would take them both.
Morse, I think, is the center for the Chiefs. And Brown
I think
is
he's the one that's up. Yeah, Brown is up again. I like Armstead. I think they need a center worse than anything because, I mean, interior is where they got killed. You got Riley Reef, who got hurt towards the end of the year, who had played decent, but he's a guy who's getting up there in age. He gets hurt a lot. I would like Brandon Shreve. You give me Schreff, and you give me Armstead, I think you'd be all right.
Hell yeah. And they got the money
but still, this is the thing people don't realize. And everybody talks about, well, they'll be there again. We don't know that because a lot of the reasons they were there this year, or a lot of the reasons most teams get there, injuries. They had very few injuries during the season. And usually the teams that get to the Super Bowl have very few injuries. That lightning very rarely strikes in back-to-back seasons. The other thing that bothered me was when people said the Rams had the better roster. I don't think the Rams do. I think the Rams had the better offensive line, but I think the Bengals are much deeper at almost every position than the Rams, especially defensive backs. Really, if Ogunjobi's healthy, they're probably deeper on the defensive line. Not as good, but they can go deeper guys. Because Aaron Donald's one of the thing that impresses me about Donald, he's one of the few defensive tackles you'll see who will play probably 75, 80% of the plays in a game. Where most guys, your better guys, rotate out, even every 3 or 4 plays just to stay fresh. So I don't think Aaron Donald's retiring either. But go ahead.
No, that's worth its weight in gold if you can have a guy who can play that much. But my final point that I wanted to talk about with Burrow is now Mike and I, we don't see eye to eye often when it comes to ranking quarterbacks and stuff like that.
Oh, don't tell me you're going to agree with me now.
Hold on. And Mike and I went toe to toe late in the season when he was saying Joe Burrow was playing like the best quarterback in the league, and that he would take Burrow over Mahomes, over any quarterback if he was
He told me I was a joke for that, Steve.
for the next 10 years. And I did. I was disgusted. I hated everything you were saying. I thought it was foolish. I thought you were a homer. And I want to say I'm still taking Mahomes right now, but Burrow is next. Burrow is gonna be a legend. And if he doesn't make it to another Super Bowl, it won't be because he wasn't quite right. You know, Aaron Rodgers hasn't made it to a Super Bowl in over a decade. It doesn't mean because Aaron Rodgers sucks or isn't quite right.
He just sucks in playoff games, yeah.
Burrow is next, and
he's now.
He's going to be. He's
put
going
it like
to
this.
Be, maybe
do you remember
next season?
Hold on, hear me out. Patrick Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl, when Tampa Bay's defensive line got all over him, completely fell apart.
Yes.
Joe Burrow got sacked 7 times in the Super Bowl yesterday. He got sacked 9 times. He got sacked 73, 74 times this year. The third most in NFL history, and he was playing in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is not as tough. He doesn't read a defense as well. He's not as much of a man as Joe Burrow.
I will say one thing, though. The reason I say that about Burrow is at the end of the game when Stafford got the ball and they were on that drive down to go downfield to try to take the lead. When they got the ball, I said, oh, they're scoring a touchdown this drive. And it's not because Stafford is some, top 5 Hall of Fame legend quarterback. Oh, man, clutch. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's because I've seen Stafford do it before. Stafford has been in situations where he has to come back, where he has to win it on the last drive. He is 5th all time in fourth quarter comebacks and wins and comeback wins.
Hey, put him behind the Bengals O-line, though. He didn't do anything yesterday.
But with Burrow, when Burrow took the rock, I didn't have that same confidence. It wasn't a for show. When I think Mahomes, I thought, oh, Mahomes is definitely scoring. When Josh Allen got the ball, I thought, oh, Josh Allen's definitely going to take this ball.
That's amazing. When have you seen Joe Burrow fail in a situation like that?
It's not necessarily that
he did it in 3 straight playoff games. You do realize
it's
that,
not,
right, Dan? It's
not necessarily that he's failing or that he's bad or that he's not. It's Joe Cool, man. I said it 2 weeks ago. He's cool under pressure. That's impressive for a guy his age and second year in the league.
Sure you don't think that he wasn't necessarily going to score because his O-line was shit? There was only a minute left.
Nah, it was even beyond.
That's kind of what I thought.
It was even beyond that. Yeah. It was just like one of those feelings that when those upper echelon guys get the ball, you get that feeling that okay, this is business as usual. Oh yeah, less than 2 minutes, 1 timeout, 70 yards to go. They're going to score a touchdown. It's one of those.
Burrow's accomplished more in a year and a half than Josh Allen has in 4.
Again, it's not. I'm not saying Josh Burrow's been bad enough and nothing like that.
And I think Josh Allen's better.
I'm just saying it was a feeling that I get. It's that feeling that you get with these top tier quarterbacks. I didn't have it yet, but I think Burrow comes back next season, win the MVP, win the Super Bowl.
Why does it matter if he wins the MVP?
Get it done.
Jesus.
Yo, you got to do those, man.
The MVP is a joke. It's not a necessity.
That's a necessity.
Drew Brees won 1, didn't win any his entire career. Drew Brees won 0 NFL MVPs. He's still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The MVP is nothing but a popularity contest. It was proven this year. The MVP, if it's going to be a quarterback, should have been Burrow. If the MVP is going to be the best player in football, it's Cooper Kupp.
It's a quarterback award.
Hey, the thing I saw about Cooper Kupp was he won the Triple Crown of receiving, and he was the Super Bowl MVP and the most valuable offensive player, right? The only other player that's done that is Jerry Rice. It took Jerry Rice 20-some years to do it. Cooper Kupp did it in 1 season this year.
Yo, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell me. I'm a huge Burrow fan. I am not a homer. Cooper Kupp should have been the MVP of the league.
I don't know about all that, but
Dude, all I know is this. There's very few receivers. The only other receiver I've seen like this, I think, is Jerry Rice. That with the Super Bowl on the line and everybody knows they're going to him, you still can't stop him. Cooper Kupp, Jerry Rice, the only two guys I've seen like that. And Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was like that in the playoffs, too. He just didn't get as many opportunities. But I think Fitzgerald would have been the MVP of Super Bowl 43 if they'd have held on and won that game. They probably would have gave it to Kurt Warner because he's a quarterback. But
Kurt Warner's another quarterback goat.
Yeah. All right, guys. Tomorrow we will have another exciting edition of the Indiana Basketball Show. 2:30. All right, Steve.
Sounds good.
All right. I got some quarterbacks I got to coach at 1, so I won't be back till 2. So 2:30 tomorrow, the Indiana Basketball Show, and then for after tomorrow night's game, from then on out, we will do post-game shows after every IU game, all the way through IU winning the national championship this year. Right, Steve?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I was talking about the NIT.
Well, I'm gonna modify that a bit and say we'll do until the end of the season for the IU.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Till the second round loss in the NIT. All right. Dan, when are you doing an NFL draft show again?
Hopefully tomorrow night.
Well, you got it. Me and Steve are going to leave you alone, so you can do that and the NBA show tomorrow night if you want.
Double fist in it. Let's go.
One of these days I'll get invited on to the NBA show.
Dan, you're so dirty. Dan's just talking about double fisting.
Yeah, like my beers, like my podcasts.
New
Hashtag
Jersey.
Twofer.
All right, Dan. All right.
So, I think we should also talk about the continuation of this show throughout the rest of the summer.
Yeah, what day you want to do this week? Hell, I'm good with doing it every Monday and Thursday if you want.
The Pick'em show?
Well, so we won't be picking anything. It's just the NFL show.
NFL show? I think we can stay once a week for a while.
Oh, I think we could do twice. What do you think, Dan?
We'll see. We'll figure out a day.
Oh, Dan's so in love with Sam Teach. We're not getting him away from the draft show, so we can't do it on Monday.
I want to learn stuff.
You haven't so far. All right. What was your final record in the NFL Pick'em show, Dan?
I stopped counting in weeks like 16. I was totally irrelevant.
Yeah. All right.
All
right. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap the show up. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. Steve, any final comments before we go?
Nope.
Dan?
Mike, I got one thing for you, bud.
I knew you would. It's Queen singing a song from 1980. What's your point?
This is for you, bud. Because you're the champion of our show.
Yeah, that's right. I won the show. See, Steve, I cared so much I'd even forgot about it by now.
That's for you, bud.
I thought Steve's camera was froze for a second.
Oh, no.
Are you about to fall asleep, Steve?
No, I'm just wondering why I'm not doing the NBA show anymore.
Why are you laughing? I've never been asked to be on the NBA. He at least asked you. He just didn't follow through.
I know. I got to read about the NBA this week.
Why? He'll never ask you to be on. He's just teasing you.
I know.
He's so in love with Bobby.
I'm sure I'm blackballed with Teets because, Teets went on to wants to be a serious sportscaster now. And since I do this for fun and have a good time with it and enjoy kibitzing with my friends about it.
Kibitzing? What the hell is kibitzing? That sounds like something they do on The View.
It's a boomer. It's a baby boomer phrase that you youngers, Gen Xers or Gen Zers, Yers, whatever you guys are.
Curmudgeon,
yeah. Kerfuffly.
Kerfuffle.
I'm getting confused even more.
It's a phrase we use to kibitz. It means to chat.
See, I can say, hey, I want to go kibitz, but that would mean I had to poop.
Hey, Mike, should Brian Flores be a head coach in the NFL?
Why should he? Did he make the playoffs in 3 years? I don't know, because I don't think we know the true story of what happened in Miami. And it sounds like there was...
Let's make this the topic of our next show.
There was a lot of players that didn't like him. I think the bigger question is, everybody always complains about Eric Bieniemy not getting a head coaching job. But right now, it looks like he might not even be back as the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, his contract expired.
Yeah, and they
Or
were
is
going to have a
expiring or something.
conversation because I guess Patrick Mahomes didn't like the way Eric Bieniemy coached him in the championship game.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I know.
Well, like I said, let's open up the next show with this.
Or that'd
About
be a
these
good one.
guys.
All
They
right, you
should
want to
or shouldn't
roll?
be.
You want to roll Thursday night?
I'm
Oh wait, I
usually
can't.
free.
Is that what's the date on Thursday? 17th? I can't. I got to take my wife.
Oh,
to a
I can't
concert.
either. Oh no, I cannot. Oh my God,
Oh, no.
no.
Damn it,
Well,
Steve.
neither
Today
can I.
is the most important day in my summer.
Monday.
Starts Speed Weeks in Daytona.
This is not summer, Steve.
Forget it, baby. They got practice today and tomorrow, qualifying on Wednesday, the Twin 150s on Thursday, practice and rest on Friday, and rest on
And
Saturday.
if there's anybody out there listening or watching that cares and you'd like to do a NASCAR show with Steve, hit us up.
No, I'm not worthy to do a NASCAR show.
Hey, remember this though,
I can
Steve.
BS my way through this football crap.
Remember this.
I can't BS my way through NASCAR, and I wouldn't do it.
Remember
I respect
this,
that
though.
sport too much.
Steve, you can bet on NASCAR. And if you do, betting.net will find you the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. Why are you clapping, Dan?
That was a hell of a segue. Well done.
Thank you, Dan.
Then he shut me up.
Feels like you're a professional, almost.
No, screw you, Dan. All right. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Remember, you can follow Steve Risley at SRisley34. We'll be back with the Indiana basketball show tomorrow at 2:30 without Dan because he's useless on an Indiana basketball show. You can follow Dan at
DB Talking Sports. D as in Dan, B as in Bob.
All right, you can follow me at Grueling Truth. So for now, we're going to wrap
What
it up.
about me? You don't want to worry about following me.
You were the first one.
You were the first one I brought up, Steve.
Well, I got one more thing to say.
Oh.
Okay, Steve.
To all of our listeners and to all of our friends, please say happy Valentine's Day to your spouses or significant others. Enjoy the day. Thank you for listening to us on Valentine's Day. I'm sure a lot of you are waiting to do extracurricular activities, and you gave us your time.
I am.
And we want to end it right now and let you guys go start being extracurricular.
Ooh, I want to get extracurricular too. We're going to wrap it up. So if you want to go get extracurricular, make sure you tweet Steve Risley at SRisley34. Send him some pictures.
Gross.
Doesn't matter.
Don't knock it, man. I sold Viagra for 15 years.
Gross. All right, let's get off.
Once again, if you eat a healthy diet, you won't need Viagra. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. For Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser,
There's not a
I'm
man
Mike
over 40
Goodpaster.
years old that does not need Viagra.
Yeah, there is.
No,
Me.
there's not.
I can prove it.
Nope.
Dan, talk dirty to me real quick.
Signing off.
All right, guys. For Dan, Steve, I'm Mike. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.